have even some Democrats questioning whether House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi should keep her job.
You think Nancy Pelosi is more toxic than Donald Trump?
You know what? The honest answer is, in some areas of the country, yes, she is.
Nancy Pelosi was a great speaker. She is a great leader, but her time has come and gone. Yes, she's a great fundraiser, but if the money that we are raising with her through her leadership is not helping us win elections, then we have to have this difficult conversation now.
Liberal filmmaker Michael Moore echoed that sentiment, tweeting out that the Democrats, quote, have no message, no plan, no leaders. As for Ms. Pelosi herself, she's brushing off the criticism and is as confident as ever.
You want me to sing my praises? Is that what you're saying? Why should I? Well, I'm a master legislator. I am a strategic, politically astute leader. I am my leadership is recognized by many around the country, and that is why I'm able to attract the support that I do, which is essential to our election, sad to say.
And today, President Trump tweeted that he does not want Pelosi out. He said, I certainly hope the Democrats do not force Nancy P. out. That would be very bad for the Republican Party, and please let Cryin' Chuck stay. So take a look at these headlines, Jesse. These are just from around the Beltway. This is all about Nancy Pelosi being in the hot seat. But I just wonder if they're actually going to try to oust her. You know, they tried in this in the beginning of the Congress, and she held strong. She's a big national fundraiser for them, and she actually enforces party discipline better than anybody so far. Do you think she stays or goes?
I think she goes, but then the coup attempt, if it's not successful, then the knives come out because everybody knows who voted for who. That's the danger there. You have to be sure that she's going to fall in order to take the action. But I just don't think Pelosi fundamentally understands America or Americans. And I don't think the Democratic Party is self-aware enough to realize she cannot be the face of the party because she doesn't play outside of the state of California. She had a nice run. You know, she took charge in 2006 after the Iraq War went south and after some Republican scandals. Then she pushed through Obamacare and the stimulus disasters, misread the will of the American people, and then she got bounced out in 2010 when the Tea Party wave took over. But according to the latest polling, nearly half of the country believe the Democratic Party has become too extreme. That's up 8 points over the last year. And the whole Democratic message under Pelosi is built on fantasy. Free college, free health care, Russia. So I don't know how many moral victories the Democrats are going to be able to stomach before they realize it's time to actually start winning. You know, President Trump liked to say, we're going to win so much, you're going to be sick of winning. Are the Democrats sick of losing yet? We're not really sure. And I think one of the side effects of Trump derangement syndrome is short-term memory loss because the Democrats have forgot about the issues. The Democrats actually are competitive when they talk about Medicare, college tuition, wages, things of that nature. But when they go off on identity politics and Russia, they lose. The resistance has failed. It's not a winning message. And I think actual Democrats in the heartland wish that D.C. Democrats would obsess over them instead of obsessing over Russia.
Well, and there is a new poll tonight from the Wall Street Journal, NBC, that says that on the economy, that the majority of Americans think Republicans are on the right track, and they're the ones that would do a better job in the economy and enforce the change that's needed. So if the Democrats are having this fight amongst themselves, and Michael Moore saying they don't have a message, they don't have a plan, is it time for them to make some sort of change?
Well, I think that is the real discussion. I mean, obviously, you know, Republicans will delight in the demise of Nancy Pelosi. They beat her up. I mean, you and I were talking on a show a few nights ago about the idea, you know, what is this demonization of politicians and the nastiness? And you watch the ads that played down in Georgia 6, and they were all about Nancy Pelosi, and they had Ossoff taking off a mask to reveal that he was really Pelosi and this far-left Democrat. I mean,
funny.
This plays to Republican taste in a big way. That's why President Trump is saying, don't go anywhere, Nancy. We love you.
Well, maybe that, Kimberly, means that she has,
support.
Maybe it's not just about her personally, but that the Republicans have been able to successfully brand her as the one that you want to fight against. And so it's actually been successful. And maybe I mean, I don't think I think she actually has, I'm very impressed with her career.
Absolutely.
And she's 77 years old. She's been able to do a lot for the Democrats. And so I think there's something to be said for all that she's done.
Yeah.
But I also don't think she's going anywhere.
Yeah, so, and I know Nancy a very long time and her whole family, you know, from back in San Francisco, and she's very hardworking. She's done all this at a lot of, you know, personal sacrifice in terms of trying to serve the country. So I give her credit for that and being a woman in a strong position. Now, that being the case, believe me, the Republicans are not going to delight in her demise. They want to prop her up. There's probably more Republicans supporting her staying in place and Chuck Schumer staying in place and crazy Tom Perez, you know, for the DNC. Let them stay, okay, those three kings. Like, let them be in their place because it's not helping. However, I do think in this case she's being a little bit scapegoated. The big problem, and I'll touch on what Jesse said, is the Democratic Party. Their insane, psychotic rage against the Trump presidency, like they rage against the Trump candidacy, and they're just obsession with that now they're a party with no platform, with no bench, and kind of nowhere to go. At least Nancy Pelosi knows how to raise the money. I'm just telling you. Who else is going to step up to take that place, to be the one that can make all the phone calls and get the money? The problem is they don't know how to spend the money that they got. They're doing it in all the wrong ways. They turned this into a referendum against President Trump instead of keeping it local and grassroots, and made it this whole, like, you know, nationwide thing, you know, in District 6, instead of just getting right there in the front and backyards of the people there and talking to them.
Well, let me just quickly say
Can we
that
get Greg in?
Karen Handel never mentioned Trump once.
Well, but see, I think that's
you-
why the Republicans were smart. The Big Ten.
But I'm saying,
and he stayed away from her as well, and he didn't complain about it.
But you don't hear anybody saying, oh, get rid of Trump. Trump's numbers are like, you know, 35, 40%. Her numbers are about 30, 35%. They're both not popular.
All right, let's get Greg in, because it's not just one person that's a problem. Like looking at
It doesn't matter if Nancy Pelosi stays or if she goes. It's the party.
Yep.
And Michael Moore is dead right on this. The big difference between Trump and the Democratic Party is Trump, there is promise. I'm going to help you. Here's what we're going to do. There is no promise. And even more, there is no redemption, meaning that if you actually try to agree with the Democrat, it's too late, especially if you're white. You are white, privileged, part of a patriarchy. You are doomed. So right now, they have splintered the country because they replaced life experience with identity. We talked about identity politics. So America now is at fault for everything. And that means that you can't have the singular identity of being an American, because that represents everything that's evil. And so what you replace that with are hundreds of competing tribes, all these different pronouns and identities. So the Democratic Party is no longer a singular entity. It is like Sybil. Do you remember Sybil? A collection of combative, quarreling voices.
Multiple personality disorder.
And they're eating themselves alive. If you look on the campuses, what happened at Evergreen, they are actually going after their own. If you take identity politics out of the equation of the Democratic Party, it's like taking meatballs out of a meatball sandwich. There is nothing there. The Democratic Party can no longer say what they're for. They can only say what they're against.
Yes.
And they're against so many things. They aren't just against Trump. They're against people who voted for Trump. They're against gasoline. They're against meat. You know, they're against anything. They're against individual liberty, rights. They're against. You never thought you'd see the day, especially Juan. They're against speech. They're not even. They're the ones that are trying to silence people on campus. It's not the right. It's the left.
They're against everything except Sharia law and the abuse of women and children and gays. I mean, that's like so far.